Welcome everyone to the hashtag Saturday Support Show. We are live this morning with CoCreative. We have some special guests in the building. We want to just go ahead and say what's up to the people, y'all.
What's up? What's up?
What's happening?
Hi, everybody.
Awesome. Well, if you're joining us for the first time on the LaRae platform, you are tuning in for a special show this morning that we have high anticipation for. So I'm going to jump right into it on the hashtag Saturday Support and what it stands for, and then the platform from LaRae. And then we're going to go ahead and get it started with our features this morning. So LaRae presents the hashtag Saturday Support Show, a live interview style conversation to share, connect, and inspire by repositioning limelight on us. Right? The leaders, creators, activists, and entrepreneurs, just like CoCreative here this morning, who are having a positive impact on the world. And we put an emphasis on having a positive impact. We're here every Saturday, whether we're on Facebook Live or IG Live, featuring movers and shakers. So we love to share our stories, connect with others, and inspire the world. And you can learn more about LaRae by visiting LaRae.com. We're also on Instagram, and all of our past episodes from hashtag Saturday Support is on our YouTube channel. So without further ado, I would love to go ahead and do my best in introducing our lovely guest this morning. So CoCreative is an award-winning small business company specializing in marketing, branding, website development, and digital business identity solutions, specializing in marketing, branding, collateral for nonprofits and government agencies. And I'm going to make sure I drop the link to check out their website as well as you've become more familiar with their platform. And my good friend, I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Sheik, because I believe in ladies goes first. So we're going to go ahead and jump off with this. She is the co-founder of CoCreative. She has also combined social media with evidence-based strategies to cultivate client engagement and keep client loyalty longer. She also serves on 2 nonprofits and is the mother of 3. So welcome, Sheik.
Thank you so much, Alicia. I'm glad to be here.
Great. And we're going to go ahead to our next guest here. Jason is a hybrid creative based out of Cleveland, Ohio. Creativity is his passion and his superpower. Jason has amassed an impressive resume of clients and worked with award-winning projects. He currently is the co-owner of CoCreative, a minority-owned creative agency. Jason, what's up?
What's up? Excited to be here.
Thanks for joining us. And last but not least, our personality, Ryan, is a digital marketer who specializes in customer relations. He helps clients navigate the marketing process from start to finish. Ryan is also an on-air talent and in Cleveland, where he hosts multiple shows, including one on sports, music industry, and mental health awareness. Ryan, we have to definitely connect on your platform as well.
Absolutely. I'd love it. We're always looking for guests. I can't talk to myself every night, so we would love it.
Thank you for joining us. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over to each of you. If you want to share just a couple more words about yourself and what you have going on. Sheik, you want to start with yourself?
Sure. I'm Sheik, and as she already stated, I am co-founder of CoCreative, and I am currently serving as CEO role. I live in Mayfield Heights, Ohio. As she stated, I have 3 children. My oldest is going to be 18, and then my youngest is 12. And I am really excited to be here and talk about, what CoCreative does and, what we have up and coming, because we do have a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Thank you, Sheik. I was trying to think too, when we originally met and to get to this point that we're sharing our platforms together, it's an honor to present with you and just be a part of who you are and the work that you're doing. So thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. All right, Jason, you want to go ahead and just share more about yourself?
Sure. I mean, my bio was told a lot, but I'm just a creative from Cleveland, a co-owner of CoCreative. Do a lot of the creative service stuff for the agency. I also do a lot of work with the Marcus Graham Project, which you'll probably hear me talk about more as we talk about the CoCreative story. I'm a dad to 3 boys. I'm a husband. I love bourbon. I love giving people hugs, which hasn't helped in COVID, but we're getting there. And yeah.
All right, Ryan, share with us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. My life has ADHD, as do I. So my ADHD transfers over to every aspect of my life. I do about 1 million different things, very involved in my community in Painesville City in Lake County. Have a beautiful girlfriend who is a chef. I have a beautiful son who thought he was going to be a chef, and now he's graduating high school and he thinks he's going to be a psychologist next. So we'll see where that goes. But I think the theme that you'll find out today that I will say about CoCreative and its individual team members are all of us have taken non-traditional paths to get to where we've gotten. And I think creatives tend to do that in life. And I think as you hear our story come out and you hear our philosophy, you'll see that our overriding theme is there is no one right or wrong path to success. And you get there however you get there, whatever that looks like.
Yes. And I'm just a fan of the work that you all do as a team. You're really innovating this space. I mean, we don't really hear much about folks coming together with their own professions and skills and expertise and building a collaborative team. And so I'm a personal fan of collaboration as a whole, but just the work that you all do at CoCreative, you're really leading and pioneering the route for not just Cleveland, but really across the country and world on how to do this work where everyone can win and everyone can eat, and we can all be successful, and we can do it from a team-based approach. So with that being said, I don't know, probably Sheik, this question will be great to start up with you. How did you get started with the idea and founding this company?
It's actually a really funny story. So initially, CoCreative started from the Marcus Graham project that Jason was just talking about. I had an individual small business just with myself. I was doing marketing and branding for my business called C7 Branding. And I got an opportunity to participate in this marketing competition and called the Marcus Graham Project. And they were partnering with the Cavs. Someone actually gave me a link to apply for it. I think Jason came across my resume and they chose me to participate in it. So I got an opportunity at the last minute to participate in this competition. And I realized from doing this 3-day competition, we got an opportunity to travel to different agencies, marketing agencies here in Cleveland. We got an opportunity to compete. We were broken into teams and we competed on a brief that the Cavs gave to us. And we worked all night and all day on this brief. And then we presented to the Cavs executives, as well as other executives in the sports marketing field. And at the end of that, it actually sparked something within me that said, you know what, I think I could do this. I think I could find some other people to collaborate with in building an actual marketing agency here in Cleveland. Why not? So I approached Cameron Kahn of Cameron Kahn Photography about it, and she was 100% in. She said, absolutely, let's do it, let's do it. And we actually approached Jason about creating our logo, because while I was there at the marketing competition, I realized really quickly I couldn't compete with any of the people in the room. I was like, these people are light years beyond my talent and skill. There's no way I can compete on this level. So it's up to me to find the most talented person in the room and then see what I can do about getting that person on my side. And that just so happened to be Jason, who was a mentor in the room. And I was like, yo, he is the best designer in Cleveland. He is so dope. And me and Cameron approached Jason, and we had him first kind of just design the logo, trying to get a feel for him, get him warmed up. And then at the reunion, the 1-year anniversary of the Marcus Graham marketing competition of the people who were in my cohort, I approached him and I'm like, so what do you plan on doing for the rest of your life? A proposal. Wow. And he's like, well, I think I want to build my own agency. I want to do this, I want to do that. And I was like, well, what do you think about just coming over to CoCreative and partnering with us for a little while? And then you can, see about doing your own thing. And he's, it's been the 3 of us ever since. So I'm really excited of what we've built and how we've scaled since then. But that's actually how the inception of CoCreative started.
Wow, that's so dope. So Jason, I mean, the man of the hour, right? And being part of the original dream team, what was your first impression in like this idea of coming and, co-creating collectively and together?
I think the thing that really sold me, and I don't want to say sold, but that was really impactful for me was the collaboration part. As a freelancer, I was doing really well, but I was doing everything by myself, and there was so much burnout that I was experiencing. And to have a team of people who did things that I couldn't do or didn't want to do or didn't desire to do was something that was powerful to me. It allowed me to say, all right, well, what you're really good at, you can focus on. And that was kind of the selling point. But for me, I always wanted to have my own agency. The Marcus Graham Project, one of the things they preach is you can't be what you can't see. And I was always frustrated about not being able to find the right job or the right situation or the right position that felt comfortable for me. And so when Sheik and Cameron approached me, I saw it as more of an opportunity to kind of create the thing I wanted other people to see. And so it's been fruitful for all of us. I think we're all still growing and learning through it. I mean, it's hard to be the first person, and we're some of the first people to do what we're doing. And so, we're learning along the way, but it's fun. It's our agency at the end of the day. And so everything we decide to do, it's our decision, and we get to, make impactful work for our clients, but also have fun. We get to focus on things that are important to us. Like one thing that I love about our agency is we're so family focused. If someone says they have something with their kids, it's not even a second guess. It's like, all right, well, let's figure out a way for us to collaborate and help each other so we can lift that next person up. And so it's just been a very healthy space for all of us, especially during COVID. Everything has to pivot and transition. So I think CoCreative just feels like home. It feels like a family. So it's been dope.
Wow. And I think one of the things that stick out to me, what you shared, is like being with other people so you don't have to do it all. Even if you could do it, like I could easily do something, but doesn't mean I want to do it. And if I save time doing what I'm really passionate about, and what I'm really good at and what I enjoy, and someone's doing what they enjoy, then that team dynamic is so, like you said, it's a healthy creative space that I love. And then we have Ryan, who's been recently added to the team. How do you fit into this whole dynamic of family? How's it been working for you?
I'll tell you what's interesting about the story that you just heard. So while they were at the queue for the Marcus Graham project, I think the reunion, I was there too that same night with a group of kids from the high school. And Sheik and I were friends. We had done some communication groups together and stuff. We knew each other, and we were there at the same time. She brought me into the suite where their team was, and I briefly met Jason that night and some of the other people in that project, just like ships passing. Like didn't even give it a second thought about what I was there for. But it's funny how that all comes full circle. But I'm relatively new to digital marketing. I've only been in the industry for about 4 or 5 years now. And I was with another agency that taught me a lot, but didn't necessarily reflect my creative style, and didn't necessarily, there were other things about the culture of that company that weren't a great fit for me. And when COVID hit and everything kind of hit the fan, I was now looking for a place to work. They didn't have the same type of case, customer client load that they had before. So she hit me up and said, hey, listen, now might be the time. We've talked about maybe doing some stuff together. You're single, I'm single. Let's get together. Like everything's like a relationship, right? So we came in and started doing our thing. And it's been an interesting process. It's, when you're talking about taking 3 people that are all bosses, and now you're adding in elements of other people and scaling that up, it's a whole different concept of how you do things. So it's very interesting to bring new people in and see how these ideas you had individually now are going to translate to adding people to the team. But like Jason said, right now, everybody fills in a gap. Those 3 have other things to focus on. Sometimes it gets tough. You don't get the attention on clients like you'd want to because you've got so many things going on. So now that's all I do. That's my whole job, is just to make sure the clients are taken care of. And that helps a lot and helps those relationships that we have. So, it's kind of like they were the Avengers and I'm like the newsboy that runs around with a camera and takes the pictures. They already had the team. I'm just in, you know, as an accessory to that. But we're going to be adding a lot of those accessory pieces as we grow. And it's going to be fun to watch the next couple of years where this thing is headed. It's going to be fun to watch the growth of this team.
Definitely.
I got to interject real quick and tell another side story about that story. So Chic, we nicknamed, well, I call her the shark at our office. And not because she's a bad person, but because she's so strategic. And maybe 6 months before that even happened, that offer went out to Ryan, Chic was saying, man, there's this kid, well, not kid, there's this guy that we got to get. She's like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but he's going to join our team. And this is exactly what he's going to do. And we're like, okay, well, how are we going to pay him? How are we going to get him over here? Like, where is this coming from? And then like 4 months later, she's like, all right, it's done. And Ryan joined our team. So, you know, I always talk about how Chic can like smell the blood in the water, and the shark bites down and gets it. So she already probably has her next hiring forecasted out. She already knows.
And I'll never forget the first day I worked here when Chic had the limo pick me up at the house. There was champagne, caviar. It was a really class process that she did. So thank you to that, Chic. My first day was really great.
Wow. Chic, what do you have to say for yourself? I mean, this is some like big talk here, shark blood. I mean, I'm hearing a lot. So we're just give you a chance to just go ahead and speak for yourself as your team members. Kind of
myself.
Yes.
No, what he's saying is kind of right. I am strategic. So I do, like I knew I wanted Jason and I knew I wanted Ryan. And I definitely am a person who, you know, even if it doesn't happen a year or two, you know, it's going to happen because I'm going to make sure that we are structuring ourselves in a way to receive that and be open to that. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it a shark. I would say I am, you know, I like the strategic word you use, Jason.
Strategically shark.
The television show isn't called Guppy Tank. In business, it's Shark Tank.
Right. There's nothing wrong with it. And I think for women specifically, we kind of shy away from those titles because of what quote unquote comes with that. But there's nothing wrong with being strategic. There's nothing wrong with understanding how you want to build things. So, you know, that's just what we call boss moves, right? I mean, that's what you have a CEO title for a reason. And you're in the position to make those decisions because you're the right person to. So I love it for sure. So in that culture that you guys are building, how do you build a culture that collaborates from that approach of creativity, collaboration, unity? Like, how do you build that culture?
So I think because each one of us are so segmented in our role, like we know exactly what we are best at, and we excel in those areas. And so my role and my position is to make sure that can happen. So to make sure that Ryan has everything that he needs to be successful and that Jason has everything that he needs to be successful. And so we work really hard on having difficult conversations. I work hard at finding holes in processes and procedures and making sure that we can circumvent, you know, those things that happen and come along the way. And that's pretty much what I do best, and making sure that everybody can do what makes them happy. I don't want anyone to be in a role that they're going to feel bad about at the end of the day, or that they're going to feel drained and, you know, feeling like they're doing something they're not necessarily comfortable with. Like whatever it is that you actually want to do, because I know if you want to be there, then you're going to do 150% your best. And so when Ryan can get on the phone with the client, or if he can meet, you know, back in the day, we can meet face to face. So if he can meet with a client, like he's going to perform, like Ryan's going to perform. And that's what he does best. And it brings him energy. And if Jason can have, you know, a blank piece of paper and a pencil, he's going to create. He's going to create something from absolutely nothing. If he knows that the end result is whatever it needs to be, he's going to make sure that we have the creative to do that. And then Cameron is a beast behind the camera. Yeah. So if she can, get in front of someone and take photos, she's going to excel at that. And so just finding those different areas where we manifest the greatest of our potential is what my job is to make sure that can happen.
Yeah, and clearly it's working. I mean, just to be on this type of platform with you all, you can definitely just feel the connectivity, the family-oriented culture that you have. And that's not always the most easiest to build. But I think what makes this very unique is that was part of your core value creating it, versus what we see in other corporations or agencies. That mindset is not there. So to change a culture is harder to do those things in the midst of a corporation that's already has this name recognition of being such and such, when really if you're called CoCreative, there's a co in front of it for a reason. So it just speaks to the leadership and the creativity that you all have. I don't know if Jason or Ryan have anything to add to Sheik's points there.
I would just say that one of the things that's interesting about our culture here from a creative standpoint is it's totally driven by that creative part of the name. Although Sheik is a strategist and she is, calculated in the way that she puts things together, she really is driven by keeping people creative and that creative energy. And there's a lot of places that are totally driven by planning and totally driven by strategy and neglect that element that lets people be themselves, express themselves, get back to what feeds them. Like she mentioned, being around people feeds me energy, and it really does. During this pandemic, we're downtown. I think they just had a drag race in front of our office there. One of the things that's been tough for me is not having that energy of being able to be face-to-face with the client. So Sheik has allowed me to find ways to supplant that with other ways of getting that energy together. And I think if you're going to be a creative, if there's anybody that would watch this that is a creative, is a content creator, is thinking about that marketing space, like Sheik is talking to people about being a social media manager, you have to feed that energy. You have to feed that creativity, because once that's gone, the strategy doesn't matter anymore. So I've been really impressed by that element of our corporate culture, of keeping that at the forefront and feeding the energy, and then using that energy to fill out the strategy and the tact along the way.
Yeah, definitely. And so in this, right, obviously being a minority owned agency, part woman owned, woman of color owned, like what are some of the challenges pioneering in this industry, but also some of the challenges that maybe you have faced just being, quote unquote, minority or woman led, or like I said, folks of color, right? There's challenges. So like, what have been some of those areas that you kind of embarked upon that you've been able to persevere through, for others who are maybe listening?
I think for me, and this is kind of a strange answer, but I think most of the challenges have come internally. I think that like I said earlier, being the first to a space or being like no one to really look up to, a lot of the times you start feeling like giving yourself those limiting beliefs. And I think we've received a ton of support from everyone who comes across us. We have a lot of people who are big fans of the work we do and our company culture, but just trying to build and do the right things at the right moments and launch the right products and create the right solutions. I think build the right team. I think all of those things have been the challenges, only because we're doing something untraditional. And so from the outside, I think we've got a ton of support. I think the challenge has always been us overcoming those limiting beliefs, trying to grow past even what we envision CoCreative to be, and push past all those barriers that we create for ourselves. Like, can we be the next agency on Agency Row? Can we land that huge client? Are we setting our prices competitively and not just because we're small or just because we're new? It's those small things that people don't realize that go into having your own agency that have been challenges for us.
I would also add that one of the things that, especially at a time like this, in 2021, we are coming off of a really difficult year in 2020. not just due to the pandemic, but also due to race relations and things that have been going on that have impacted our community on a really deep level. And what we're finding is that at a time like this, so many companies and organizations rush out to find the minority own this, the Black own this, the female own this, at a way to try to increase their, their stake of diversity and try to, check off that box of saying, we're not racist, we hired a Black agency. And and what we find that is that in a lot of those spaces where they're just coming to us for that reason, they don't take us as seriously as they do another agency that is white owned and has been around. I like to call our creativity our currency. We are literally like one of the best industry standards as far as creativity is concerned and ideas. And it doesn't necessarily, when we go into these rooms that are the majority white and the majority male, their level of taking us as seriously as some of the other leading marketing agencies in Cleveland it's not on the same level. So we constantly have to prove ourselves. We constantly have to make sure that we are not undercutting ourselves, that we're not underbidding ourselves, and we're not, just trying to get the client and trying to, work with an opportunity that we otherwise wouldn't get if we weren't, Black. So I would say that has been, especially during the past 12 months, has been like one of the most impactful, areas that definitely we needed to work through.
Right. And then there's no blueprint for that, for you all, because it's so innovative and it's so pioneering that there's like, you have to, and to Jason's point, you're figuring that out internally. So those challenges of like, could we be that? Do we see ourselves being that? Whether or not we're looking for validation from specific people in the industry, and then, out of the industry to validate who we are and the creativity and the excellence that we bring in the market. So I definitely agree to those points. Ryan, you wanted to jump in here?
Well, I was just going to say, over the last 12 months too, as Sheik was saying, there's been kind of different stigmas put with minority-owned business. Some people say, well, I'm going to check off this box because I work minority-owned businesses. At the same time, a lot of people have gotten into this mindset where they hear minority-owned business and they go, well, I can help that business. They must need help. Like, minority-owned business means they're struggling and they need help. This is a thriving agency that is doing great. We can help other people. So it's really about now taking that next step and getting out of this mind state that minority-owned business means cheaper, less qualified, in need. Like we are working very hard at CoCreative to change that stigma around what it means to be a minority-owned business. That doesn't have anything to do with those factors. It has to do with diversity. It has to do with creative thought. It has to do with a different type of culture, and it has to do with success moving forward. So I think that is something that we're very committed to help changing, not just in Cleveland, where, listen, let me tell you, the struggles of a minority business in Cleveland are different than some other markets. It really is. But we want to change that not only in Cleveland, but we want to have that national footprint that changes that stigma too.
Yeah, and that's powerful in the sense of that stigma, right? Those stereotypes of what minority means anyways, right? And then you add business to it, or operate it or own, it's just more stereotypes and stigmas that come with that. But as for those who are joining us on #SaturSupport, we appreciate you all tuning in. This platform is about a positive message, right? A positive impact. And obviously a lot of the work that you guys do is uplifting, it's positive, it's breaking down barriers, right? The glass ceiling, like those are not in existence as we move forward and we persevere through. So one thing I wanted to bring up in this talk was the grant opportunity that you guys had. I think it was back in December before 2021. I don't know who maybe Sheik or Jason wants to jump into that grant opportunity. I mean, you guys can share more about it than I can, but in the sense of having a positive impact and being this agency, which is a for-profit company, am I correct? And then adding a piece to have grants and to give back. I want to just open that up and share. Jason, you want to go ahead and share a little bit about what that was?
I'm gonna defer to Sheik actually, because I
Okay.
think it was her idea. One thing she said, "You're only as good as how much you give," and I'll leave her there to tell where that all came from.
So I definitely am a big believer in making sure that a line item on your business budget needs to be giving back. And the more that that line item can increase, then the better you are as a company. So we set goals in terms of how much we gave this year, how much we want to give next year. And we have a goal of being able to give back on a major, major level because I definitely think it's important. I still remember when we were, you know, at a place where as freelancers, you have the ebb and flow of business. So some months are better than others. You're like balling out of control some months. And then the next month you're like, I need to go work at Target. So it's a serious ebb and flow when it comes to finances in business. And so what we wanted to do was have an opportunity. We participated in this competition with Jumpstart last year. And it was an amazing opportunity to be able to get not only business support, but also get financial support from Jumpstart, just being able to participate in that. And so we wanted to duplicate that process within our system and making sure that we could reach out to small businesses in the area, that we could hear what their story is and what their ideas are, and then be able to make an investment in those companies in a small scale for now, but in a bigger scale for later. And we actually got someone who was so excited that they wanted to make an anonymous donation and match our funding. And they said, we love what you guys are doing and we want to be able to give too. So they made an anonymous donation as well. So we want to be able to build that traction. We are huge supporters and believers in giving back. And we hope to be able to give back on a massive scale in the future.
That's so cool. And what was some of the feedback that you got from small businesses and entrepreneurs during that process? Were you finding what were kind of common themes and challenges around funding for small businesses, kind of like also what you found as your own startup to now scaling your agency?
Oh my goodness. So we got such a larger response than what we thought we would. And can you guys speak to some of the people who responded that we thought were cool? There were so many cool responses.
I think, one thing that I think was interesting and a common thread was so many of the businesses that we were talking to had to make a pivot. There were creative spaces that couldn't have people in. So what do you do with that? And actually one of our winners had a creative space meant to help authors and writers that pivoted and started book publishing rather than having the creative space. One of the people that we had was a photographer that created a mobile photography studio because people weren't going to be able to come to their studio, but they could take their studio to people and create that way and keep it controlled. So the innovation of the entrepreneurs that we talked to was mind blowing. Just the way that they were able to pivot. And we kind of broke it into two separate categories, those that were entrepreneurs and those that were making a difference in the community and the nonprofit side as far as who we wanted to help. And a lot of the nonprofit people we were talking to were doing incredible things that sprouted up as a result of social distancing and COVID-19. So it was really great to kind of peel back the layers a little bit and see how these people had adapted under these circumstances and hear the stories of how they persevered in the midst of something, again, back to what Jason was talking about earlier, uncharted territory, things that had never been done before. It was really exciting to see what people were doing in the face of adversity.
Yeah, and we're seeing more and more of that. And one thing that kind of sticks out to me, being here in Cleveland geographically, is that, we have one of the strongest philanthropic communities in the country. That has led this work from a social investment impact driven approach for decades. But then we still see this gap of poverty, right? We've been number 3, number 5, now number 1 in that top 5 for years. So what are, we're really facing, what are those gaps, and how do we bridge those gaps? And I believe different ways of innovative funding and networking and building, like, you all are doing with what you did with the grant, and it's something I believe you guys will continue over the years and it will continue to grow, is, that non-traditional way of contributing to the overall economy here locally. And, some folks may not know how to apply for grants. They may not, for businesses sometimes can't even apply for grants. So just the way that you guys continue to like bust down the barriers on a consistent basis. Like I said, I started with I'm a huge fan of all that you all do. But that was one thing I was just like, wow. And that came across on social media with your announcement a couple months ago. I was like, hell yes, like let's get it, because it's huge. And I feel like, all of us are working to be in a position to give back the way that we want to. It doesn't have to be the same old way, right? That traditional based, because a lot of times those things are not effective anyways. This is part of the reason why we have these gaps in this work. So I just continue to applaud the leadership you all are doing on a continuous basis, and just those innovative ideas that there's nothing off the table. Like if there's something you see and that you want, especially like with Jason, like being a creative designer, there's things that you see that's just like, oh man, I'm going to make this come to life like right now. And it's just so dope that you guys get to do that on you wake up and you do it on a daily basis.
For sure. We, and it actually happened to us yesterday. We were on a client call and I was texting during the client call because I have the tendency to get bored. And so I'm texting Sheik like, yo, I'm really bored. I don't really like the way this call is going. I don't like the idea. So I hope they're not listening. Well, they wouldn't know who they are. But anyway, so I took it. We got off the call, we told them we'll get back to them. And I got to sit with the idea for a while. And I started to think about like, okay, what are they really, really asking for? And how can we use this as an opportunity to be impactful and be creative and be in the agency that we are outside of what they're really asking? And so like when we get to wake up and do that every day, it's just like, it's a dream. It's what we wanted at the beginning. And I think that that's starting to show itself as we progress. It's like, we're really getting that footwork and framework to really do what we do best. And so it's just fun. It's super fun to always have an opportunity to do that.
That's awesome. So I hope he wasn't, texting Sheik in the middle of this and be like, man, I'm bored. I had to jump off this. This is not really what I thought we were signing up for hashtag Saturday support. So I hope that wasn't the vibe that I was getting. And you dropped in that insight.
He's not.
Hands up. No, I love it. And I, like I said, this is just so dope to have this, you all talk about this on the platform, but kind of moving into a more of a serious conversation in the sense of like, you kind of mentioned and talked upon a little bit, Sheik, in the sense of, the systemic racism and these things that we continue that got more exposed in 2020, but a lot of us who are consciously aware, at least, know that these things they've been here for a very long time, way before we got here. We're not going to solve all of the world's problems, but when you do this type of work, and I'm familiar with some of the specific projects you guys have worked on, when you talk about branding and marketing, right, and representation in our communities of color, how important is it to do this work and making sure other nonprofits and other agencies have the right type of marketing and branding to speak to the people that they're looking, to serve in their target market?
So one of the things that we are incredibly proud of is the mission behind everything that we do. So my background is in social work. That's how I even got acclimated into marketing. It started from me being on public assistance and reaching out to single mothers to being hired by a government agency to reach out to single mothers through social media. So that's always been the forefront of my mind, because I want to make sure that we understand how powerful advertising is. We talk about, the advertising messages that we hear in our brains all the time. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. We can hear it. We know that it's being recorded in our minds all the time, whether we want it to or not. And so understanding and knowing how powerful advertising is and how we often hear about the negative that's behind marketing and how we're being pushed messages and how we're being pushed agendas and all of that, then my motto has always been to kind of reverse that so that it's not necessarily negative, it's actually going to be positive. So I knew that if we can get in front of it and start working with agencies that have a real impact on the community from a very real standpoint regarding healthcare, regarding structural racism, regarding, the work, the grassroots work that people are doing on a daily basis, if we could somehow be able to corner that and be able to get in front of it from a messaging standpoint, making sure that their branding is top notch so that people are attracted to it, making sure that they have representation in minorities, that, if they're talking about saving babies, that we make sure that there's Black babies represented in that photography, and, making sure that we're doing that on a consistent level has always been the forefront. But it became very real a few years ago when we had a survey done, a study was done by Case Western Reserve on the social media tactics that we are using and the methods that we were using. They did a 3-year study and looked at, whether or not the social media method that we used could actually predict positive outcomes in the clients that we're working with. So they looked at this not social media agency, this nonprofit agency, and they looked at the clients that were exposed to our social media and the ones that were not exposed to our social media. And they did a comparative study. And they found that the social media method that we use had a real impact on the positive outcomes. So the nonprofit that made sure that people were connected to resources, that they felt peer-to-peer support and engagement and interaction, and they felt supported by that nonprofit, all of those metrics went up with the ones that were utilizing the social media tactic that we used compared to the ones who are not. And so when we say that we're evidence-based, it's because of that study, and it has a very real impact in the community on a very real way. So it's not just marketing for us, it's actually impacting lives. So when Jason was talking about, us meeting with this client, we are actually looking at, they want to be able to spread this message. Well, what they approached us with wouldn't have been the most impactful way. And because that's something that's most important to us, we want to be able to reapproach them and say, hey, we actually have a way more innovative idea that we believe is going to get more traction in the community. It's going to reach the target audience that you're looking to target. And it's going to be something that's measurable. It's going to be something that's effective. And, it's going to be light years beyond what we initially talked about. So that's always been like the mission and the forefront of our minds, is being able to impact the community in a really real way.
Wow, so awesome. And Jason, I don't know if you want to jump in the sense of the designing and the visual pieces of this work. Just if you have any comments to add to Sheik on your own perspective and approach to the way you view this work.
I just think it's important for us to be the solution. I mean, we all know the problem. We talk about the problem every day. And I think the cool stance that CoCreative has is like, diversity isn't just an initiative for us. It's our culture. It's who we are. So you're not coming to us to try and figure it out. Like, we know, representation is at the forefront for us. These things are at the top of our mind because this is why we started this agency. So I just think that like when we approach work, we approach it from the lens of having that responsibility to make sure it's told right, that the work is polished and is representative and creative and fun. And we know how much of an impact it has on these businesses and companies we work with. And so we kind of take it personal. We want it to be the best. Like, we could have easily did the project the way we want to, the way they asked us to do it, but that wasn't where we saw it. And so I just think that we kind of approach it with at the forefront, we have a responsibility to do this work in the way that it needs to be done to really help our clients.
Definitely. And one thing that kind of comes to my mind when you were sharing that is like, you all have that like credential expertise, right? That you kind of people make it seem like you need to be in these spaces, but you also have that lived experience expertise. And when you're able to merge like the both of those, that it's not something that I had to put as a core value, diversity and inclusion, because it's who we are. I had a really great mentor who, when a lot of the stuff happened in the summer or early or late spring of last year around the racial injustices and whatnot, he's like, I'm a Black man. I don't need to put out a statement on my company to say these are the things happening. Like, these are my lived experiences. So there's a distinction. And we were seeing everybody, we're putting out remarks, and every website, any mainstream brand, Nike, everywhere you went, there were like right on the website, like Black Lives Matters and we support this. It was just like people felt like they had to put out statements, because a lot of those folks, from the core value of their agencies or companies and businesses, it was just something that they were looking at as one approach to this work. You have to be diverse, right? You have to be inclusive, but it wasn't the foundation of who they are. And when we have agencies like what you all represent, it's not something that we can really paint across. It comes with everything we do. We wake up and this is who we are. This is what we present. So I don't know if Ryan, you have an input in this. I think a lot of times there's this cliche in the sense of the way we build teams, and only, minority people can talk to the facts about minority experiences. But you're obviously in the midst of this, so you feel some type of way about the values of CoCreative that stick to you too. So I think it's a great opportunity to hear your insight on this work as well.
One thing that I will tell you that I have learned is that, and I think there's probably more of a spotlight on it now more than ever, you are never going to be truly happy working for a team or a company that doesn't represent your values on these things. And I've been with companies multiple times where I'm the only one that felt that social responsibility. And that can wear on you. And you don't feel creative when you're in that space where you feel like you're the only one that hears the noise, right? It makes you feel like you're the outsider. I hear this rumble. Why doesn't everybody else hear that? Being here where everybody is on the same page with that, it makes the work easier, because it makes you feel like you're united and you're moving forward. One of the things that I like, I was just thinking when you were talking about some of the systemic racism issues that we face and how that impacts marketing. For us, systemic racism has created a digital divide, and marketing is going increasingly digital. So a lot of marketing agencies that don't specify in urban communities are moving forward completely digital. But when we go to work with a nonprofit agency, we have to have an eye on the fact that there's so many people they want to get a message to that don't have digital resources. They don't have good internet. They don't have cell phones. They're not being reached that way. So there's still some places where we're working in traditional media spaces where other agencies have moved past that. And you can really see it when you start working with the nonprofits and the people that are making a difference in the community. You can see that divide that's come from decades of systemic racism. So it is in our face every day. We see it. We can't escape it. We couldn't turn it off if we wanted to, because the minute we would ignore that would be the minute that we were ineffective for the people that want to get these messages out. So I think that responsibility that we have to deliver messaging that works for our clients is really us delivering messaging that works to people that have been disenfranchised because of systemic racism. So I think for the foreseeable future, we will be tied to that, and it's going to be a part of who we are as a company and as a culture.
Well said. I see head nods to that. So very well said. And I know as we hit our hour mark on #Saturday Support, I want to hear what's next. I know you guys are all involved in multiple things. And so I want to just give you a chance to talk about what's next for CoCreative, and then what's maybe next for you as an individual. So whoever wants to start with that.
So I can start. So CoCreative University just launched where we're going to be providing e-courses for people who are looking to either DIY some of the things that we're able to do, and maybe they can't necessarily hire an entire agency to do it. But then also people who are looking to freelance or build the same thing that we're doing in their own spaces. We're big on making sure that other people can scale and we're supporting them and teaching them. I know we never will run out of ideas. Our ideas are always going to be our currency, and our creativity is always going to be our currency. So it's never going to be like an issue for us to share our skills and our ideas and our resources that we have. So we are looking to give back in that way, being able to provide people with the blueprint of how we were able to do it. I'm going to start with how to become a social media manager. So we started Scroll Masters, so people can find that at scrollmasters.com, where it's an actual digital e-course that people can follow for 6 weeks that will provide them with the blueprint to be able to stop their clients' scroll and be able to start a social media management agency on their own. And I'm providing that digitally. I'm also going to give some free resources as well. So they'll be able to see weekly webinars on different tidbits of information and master classes and things like that on how I'm able to do what I do. So that's the CoCreative e-course, CoCreative University.
On the business side, I just anticipate growth for all of us. I think we've been building ourselves up and the agency up, and now we're starting to build our teams up individually to meet the demand of the work. So I think you can expect to see a lot of growth. Also, we're doing a lot of partnership with the company that helped us get started, the Marcus Graham Project. Me personally, the Marcus Graham Project is like everything to me. I wouldn't be the creative I am or in the position as an owner of CoCreative without the Marcus Graham Project. So there's some super exciting things that we're doing with the Marcus Graham Project. The NBA gave one of their inaugural foundation grants to the Marcus Graham Project to spread their talent development system across 10 different markets throughout the NBA. So I'll be in Phoenix at the end of the month with the Phoenix Suns and the NBA and the Marcus Graham Project and CoCreative, really out there just trying to bring new talent into the industry and hopefully bring them home to Cleveland to start working in our agency. So we're huge on talent development and giving people resources. So you can expect to see a lot more of that from us.
Love it. And I also just dropped the Scroll Masters link on the Facebook Live. So whoever's tuning in, you can just go ahead and hit that link if you want to learn more. And I'll make sure I get this other link from Jason here so I can add that to the chat too. Ryan, what you have going on that you want to share?
Well, on the co-creative side, I think another thing that we're really focusing on this year, we have always done a lot with the solopreneur and new businesses, and that's always going to be something that we are passionate about because of how this company formed. But we also feel like our resources are really well used when we work on the larger projects with nonprofits that are really trying to get a 360 approach to getting messaging out, especially to the urban community. We've got some neighborhood-based projects that we're going to be working on this year that we're really, really excited about, that you'll be hearing more about over the next few months. So I think now it's about taking this team and this talent and finding the greatest scale to use it on, right? We have this superpower team that's out here. How can we take that talent and make the most out of it? And I think what we're learning is there's a lot of good things we can do in working with some of these nonprofits that have messaging to get out. And there's we get so many wonderful projects that come across our desks that get us excited to talk about. And it lets us know too, by the way, there's so many great things happening in Cleveland. There's so many great things that don't get enough notice, and that's our job. If people aren't hearing about it, they don't know about it, that means they didn't hire us to get the message out. So you're going to stop seeing that this year. Now everybody's going to know about everything because we're putting our hands on it.
I love it. And I know you're modest, so I'll give you an opportunity to plug in your on-air show as well so people can stay connected with your personality and other things that you have going on.
I've got a million on-air things. Basically, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, you can catch me just about all night on WOVU 95.9 FM. It's a community-run station owned by Burton Bell Carr. We don't do any commercial advertising. It's all run through grants and again, nonprofits that fund the station. So we get to do some incredible things. We play more Cleveland music, more Cleveland artists than anybody else in the city. So we get everybody else an opportunity. But I'm really proud. On Wednesday nights from 7 to 8, I have a program called Radio Silence that focuses on mental health issues. And I've got some work that's going to be going on with the Adams Board that's going to be going down this year, where I'm going to be interviewing some people that they're targeting for me, and really excited about that. So you can download the WOVU app and listen to us all the time, or while you're riding around the city, get that FM dial to 95.9 FM and hang out with us.
I love it. I love it. Well, as we wrap up, for those of you who are following and listening in live on #Saturday Support Show, I want to make sure we give another chance for any last comments and thoughts from CoCreative and just the work that you all are doing. Any last thoughts on what you want to leave the people with?
If you'd like to reach out to us, we are super open to having virtual coffee and chats. So you can always email me at frashik@cocreativeplea.com. You can always, just shoot me an email and we can set up a time to talk.
I just want to congratulate you and say thank you to you. This is super dope of you using your platform to support businesses, to tell people in Cleveland's story. When Ryan talked about showcasing Cleveland, one of the things that I noticed is how talent rich Cleveland is. Mm-hmm. And, with the Marcus Graham Project, one of the things that we do is help find talent. And I've been amazed to see some of the talent that has come through Cleveland. I mean, even look at the people on this call right now. Yep. But even furthermore, some of these people are going on through our program to work at some of the largest agencies at the largest companies. And the mission of mine is for us to retain some of that talent here in Cleveland. And that's why CoCreative is so important, because we have a platform now to do that. And you have a platform to spotlight people. So we just want to thank you for using your platform to share our stories and to let other people know what's going on in the city and beyond. So we appreciate you, and we are thankful to be on here and to be a further supporter of you moving forward.
I love it. Thank you. And we have to do a better job in retaining talent, because like you said, there's so many people who, we grow up with. I'm from Cleveland, and even going to college here and in the university setting, it's just like people are like, I'm out of here. I'm going to go to LA and Atlanta and Seattle, Miami, wherever. I'm just like, man, you're going to go there and you're still going to start the bottom, and you can stick it out here and already start right at the middle. It's just an even playing field for everybody. So I would love to further connect with you guys on other things that I will definitely follow up. But I want to take the chance to say thank you personally. Like I mentioned, starting this show this morning, I'm a personal fan and supporter of the work that you do. And that comes from a very genuine place. I wouldn't have you on here if I didn't. I personally honor and support Sheik and everything that she does, and the work that you've been able to lead, not just with CoCreative, but other initiatives, other projects. You are a voice for the voiceless at many times in our lives. So I appreciate your vulnerability and your transparency and your leadership in this work. And glad to, finally meet you, Ryan and Jason. We've met past before, and I'm just so proud of all the work that you are doing. So any way that I can continue to open up the platform and open up my space for you all, I'm game, I'm on board, and I look forward to seeing all that God has in store for you all with the agency, but also as individuals and family folks. And I'm looking forward to what we can do in the city and how we can make a big imprint that kind of has that ripple effect throughout the country and the world. So thank you for joining us on #Saturday Support. For those of you who are listening, you can learn more about LaRae at LaRae.com. We're here every Saturday on #Saturday Support, where we aim to share our stories, connect with others, and inspire the world. And you've been tuned in this morning with CoCreative, amazing agency looking to change and continue to change and the landscape of the city of Cleveland and beyond. So thanks for tuning in.